Hello, Randy Rain here, and this is the last video of 2019. So I guess it's time to get this little roller coaster finished. Well, I'm going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's get started. This is my
Randi's Remake.
So I got the feeling that some people didn't like me making fun of Christmas decorations in the last video. But I really wasn't making fun of the Christmas decorations. I'm just kind of making fun of this Christmas decoration. But I was making fun of this one, and I'm going to show you later what I'm talking about, and you will agree with me. So anyway, let me show you why I'm so passionate about this. This isn't my first barbecue when it comes to little small roller coasters like this. When I was 14 years old, I created my first little roller coaster. Here's two pictures of it. Here, this is it. Here, this the wild one. Yes. Funny, there's actually a roller coaster called the Wild One now, and mine was before that. I had the first wild one. It was made of flex railroad tracks, and the little car was just a single section of a railroad train car, and on the front of the cart was a little piece of Velcro, and I had a piece of string that took it uphill, and so it would stick to the string, and the string would pull it uphill. And then it just went down and kind of up, and then turned and zigzagged back and forth, and that was pretty much it. But hey, I was only 14 years old. But then, 25 years later, I make another roller coaster. Now, I don't have any pictures of it, but I have remnants of it. This was my roller coaster here. If you can look inside, you can see that it actually runs on bearings. The bearings are set into lead. I actually poured lead, melted it down, and made these pieces, so it has a lot of weight to it. No milling, this is just made on a drill press. This is when I made my vacuum form machine, and this is how I made these outer shells, by vacuum forming. And then the track was made out of acetyl nylon. Now, I used acetyl nylon because you could bend it without it breaking. Now, this is when I learned you can't glue anything to acetyl nylon, and nothing sticks to it. So I had to use mechanical attachments with the all thread, and then I just glued the all thread together with the epoxy. And this whole story with this jig that I made to make this track and how I made this, it's a great story, but I built it outside. And if you watch any of my videos, you can kind of guess what happens to acetyl nylon when it's outside underneath the sun. It pretty much started breaking before I even had it finished. But enough of that, let's get back to the roller coaster. So I had to make a car for this little thing. The car didn't come with this, so it was just a little what you see here. And so I made the belt last time, and I gutted it, and so now I have to make a car. So I found pictures online on how to make this car, and it was little wheels, little metal wheels underneath there, just like my Tomy motorcycle little game. It's just like how all of them work. There's these little heavy wheels that roll down the thing, drag it along the little piece of plastic on here. So I don't have a lathe to actually make the wheels, but there's a method that I came up with to make wheels before on other things. So I tried that, and it was a total failure. But it's such a cool method for doing this, so I wanted to show you this. My two choices on metal rod was 3/8 or 1/2 inch. That's all I could get. Any other size I would have to have ordered online, and I wasn't going to do that. So I stuck with 1/2 inch because 3/8 was too small. Even though 1/2 inch is too big, it should be somewhere in between there. So I took the grinder and I cut some little sections off of a 1/2 inch stainless steel metal rod. Then I used my sander and I cleaned it up until I got the right sizes and everything and smoothed them out. Then I set this little jig up on my drill press. It's 2 stacks of plywood, and you can see the bottom part actually comes out. So I took a 1/2 inch Forstner bit and I put it in the drill press, and I put it just above the piece of wood, and I drilled a hole down in through the top layer of plywood down into the bottom one. Then I moved the bottom piece to a clean piece. Then I placed the little metal wheels into this little jig. Then I came down with the Forstner bit, and using that little point, I put a pilot hole in the very center of the wheel. And I did this for both of them. Now you got to get the drill bit out of here. That's why the plywood jig. So you pull the plywood bottom out. That will allow you to drop the drill bit through the hole. Now you can chuck up a smaller drill bit, and you have a pilot hole to work with in the very center. If you can get the wheel to keep from spinning, you can drill this hole through there. So then you end up with something like this. I have my little wheels, I have a little metal rod through here, and I 3D printed a piece. When you put it up here, then it stops. So you can kind of force it here, and it and now. And a little more, and all the way. It just wasn't good enough. It's just not going to happen, so it needs to be, these are bushings, so these need to be really, really perfect to really cut down on all the friction that's going on in this thing. I had to ditch this idea, but I still wanted to show that cool little method of making these. So if you're making something similar and it doesn't have to be perfect, that's a perfect way to make little wheels. So anyway, I went on to eBay and I found some of the cars. Now these are the actual cars that are supposed to go with this thing. And on the front here, I want to show you something. But before I show you, I want to remind you that this is called the Tornado. Okay? The sign on this thing lights up and says Tornado. Okay? That's the name of this roller coaster. So what should be written on the front of this train? Well, on this one, it says roller coaster. So yeah, it should say tornado on there, but yeah, it says roller coaster. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the lameness that I'm talking about. When have you ever walked up to any roller coaster to ride it, and on the front of the train it says roller coaster on there? It's like this little guy right here. It's like if he had a little name tag, and on that name tag it said ticket booth on there. I would like to paint the cars because they're gold and I don't like the gold, but I'm going to leave it. But I am going to make some new stickers for these cars. Take off the roller coaster sticker on there. But enough about the cars. I want to make this thing operational the way I think it should be operational. Check this out. We're getting started now. So this is what I have. I have a little digital circuit here that records little digital audio. It records about 8 seconds of digital audio as it stands right now. You can change one of these little tiny resistors in there. I've yet to figure out which one. You can change it up to 20 seconds, but the audio quality goes way down. And this thing already sounds like crap enough. So I'm going to leave it at 8 seconds. But it's too soft, so I run it through an amplifier, and then it's going to come out of this speaker. I've recorded my roller coaster sounds onto it. The other thing I'm going to be using are these little infrared sensors here. It's all coming back down to here, where I'm going to eventually have a little pickaxe chip to control everything. But first I need to get all this inside. Now this little IR sensor is going to go at the top of the hill so that it knows when the car is at the top, so to play the sound. Needs to be connected right there. And that's just going to be CA glue. For the other sensor, it's going inside the toll booth. Okay, time to do some surgery on this guy. Now I'm going to put a hole right here. Because this is where this one's going to go. While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue all these wires to take stress off of the solder joint so that they don't break. Okay, now I can be a little bit more rough with these. So this has to go up here. And it's just getting hot glued in. And my little ticket booth guy gets glued back to here. So I got to put my tornado sign back on. For the sign, I'm just going to use this coil wire. So I made a sticker for this. Just use some 3M Spray 77. Okay, now for the cars. So I created these on the computer and printed them out. Just use some clear tape across the front to protect it. Well, there it is, the Tornado roller coaster. I don't know if I improved on it or not, but I did get it working again. And I even added in some of the little people, added this little drum thing on there that's not really needed, and it doesn't play jingle bells anymore. So I've seen on some videos where they warn people about flicking or blinking lights. Well, the little sign here, it has some LEDs burnt out on it, which gave me the idea to make the thing run down in the first place. So the sign flickers. So I'm giving you a warning on that. So when I plug this in, so yeah, if blinky things is a problem for you, don't look right here. See this part where my fingers are pointing? Don't look at that. But seriously, let's make this thing go. You have to buy a ticket, and one ticket gives you 3 rounds. To buy the ticket, you just touch the little ticket master and give him a little ticket. And it starts. Oh, listen, crowd cheering, yay! And it goes around. There. And it goes back up. So that was one ride. Here's 2. And this is the last ride. Oh, we're going to derailment. So this is the last ride, so it gets to this point and it just stops. And it waits for the next ticket. Give it a ticket again and it goes. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see more stuff like this, please subscribe. I want to thank these people right here. These are my Patreons. You get some cool benefits for becoming a Patreon of mine, so you might want to check that out. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Randy's Remake.